and welcome to In Between Sets podcast. I'm Kate. This is Abigail.
Hello.
This is our first episode, guys, and it's honestly been a long time coming. I think it's been on our hearts to do a podcast together for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, 2022, Lake House days.
Lake House days. You were living in Granbury, and I was living in Newcastle.
Yeah.
Newcastle. I was like, what's the name of that place again? I lived there for 3 years. Yeah, and never in my mind would I have ever thought that I would genuinely do a podcast. I enjoyed being on podcast. There's way less pressure that way than having your own.
Yeah.
But I am so happy to be doing it with you.
I know. I kind of always thought I'm not qualified. I haven't done anything well enough, or I don't know
This is so
that
annoying.
I know ongoing conversation that would be worth, I guess, having a conversation in front of cameras about. But I think we've worked through that a lot, and it's super exciting.
I think when we first thought about doing a podcast, we were like, hey, I think we should have a podcast. And it wasn't because we're really good yappers together.
That we are, though.
That we are. But it was we have a lot to share about our own individual journeys. And I think that at that time, though, as ready as we wanted to be, I don't think we were really ready then. Especially I look back on what happened to me this last year, in all the just dismantling that God and I did together. I genuinely feel so ready now, more than I ever have been to do that.
I think had we started it in 2022, which ironically enough, we literally bought all of the stuff, talked about it all the time, never really had an idea of what we were going to say, but knew we wanted to do it at some point. I think it would have been more of operating out of fear, hey, this is what we have to do to grow an audience and this and that. And now it's so much less of hey, we need this big audience to say something. It's no, I have something to say that might resonate with one person, and so we're just gonna go for it.
Literally. We chose the name In Between Sets because we felt like we got the best conversation when we were literally in between sets of working out. Any workout we were doing, that is when we would yap the most, or talk about our great ideas, or talk about just catch up on life, even when we were living together.
That's what I was about to say. That's the ironic part, is we literally live together and are best friends and do everything together, yet the deepest, most profound conversations that we would have, or the epiphanies, would be Caitlin's out of breath after hip thrusts, and I'm wait, so hear me out.
I'm I can't, 1, 2, 3, I can't focus. I was thinking about the other day, because I know there was a time when we were really recording ourselves doing workouts and stuff, and there was a 3 to 4 minute gap in between, because I was finishing a hip thrust and you were on the machine over, and you were just leaning down and you were just and Bubba, and I don't know what we were talking about, but I was that was a way longer rest than it needed to be, because I was so intently watching and listening to you, but I was still sitting on the hip thrust machine just yeah, absolutely. I think you should do that. I think you should get another tattoo. Absolutely. Yeah. I will go with you and do it too.
And you're you have this conversation just a little too loud, and people are oh, yeah. What are they crying about right now? Mid-set. Yeah. So I think it's just so fitting for us. In between sets, as far as the gym goes, and that's where we have our deep conversations. But I also feel all of our kind of ideas, or callings and different things like that, always come out in between sets of life, which may or may not sound corny, but just
I don't care if it sounds
when
corny.
When it first came up in 2022, we were both in this huge transition. I was post deployment, moving back to Texas for the first time. You were going off on your own, all these things. It was kind of this in between of, I don't know what's next, but it's gonna be good. And I have all of these really, cool ideas, or visions of what I want life to look like, but it's just not there yet. And so I think it's kind of cool in, I don't know, both aspects.
Yeah. In between sets is more than just, talking and yapping in between. I think that's girlhood.
Yeah.
Especially in the gym, is just that's when I mean, I go to a great gym here called CrossFit Westwood. Do I do CrossFit anymore? No. But it has a great
has-beens over here.
Yeah, has-beens. I was like, but it has a great other side to it. That's a full gym, and Abigail's been there, but man, all of us girls will get there, and I like hesitated going back to that gym. I love my friends that go there, but like my workouts become 3-hour long workouts because I'm over there. We're just talking and catching up, and and I was like, man, that is also just girlhood is also just being in between seasons of life and needing women to be there to support you. And that's why we kind of wanted to do this podcast, and what you can really kind of expect out of it is not only just support and friendship, and we'll talk about fitness a lot, and that's just
naturally
that's how we met, and that's also just what we do now. But you'll also we want to talk about leadership and mindset and female empowerment, all while solely basing this off of our faith as well.
Yeah.
And like really tying our faith and how God has shown up and orchestrated parts of our lives. Especially in between the seasons.
Yeah.
So that's what you can expect from the podcast. We're gonna talk on the first episode about each other. That way my favorite subject, talking about myself. That way you guys get to know us and what you can expect moving forward, because we talked a lot about, we have a lot to share. We have very, very different journeys, very different backgrounds.
That somehow always bring us back together.
That somehow always bring us back together. So do you want to get kicked off on you or me first?
Yeah, I had one more thing I wanted to say.
Go for it.
Just cut me off there. I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
So the other thing, the only thing I wanted to add to that was that I think we're both big podcast people. Long drives, lots of podcasts and stuff like that. And I love them. I love listening to like long form conversations with people, and I get a lot of inspiration like from the big podcasts from people. But I think the conversations that like actually change my life, not just like inspire, are always from people that, they weren't Olympic athletes or, multi-billion-dollar CEOs or like things like that. And so like, that's what I think is so cool here is like us getting over a little bit of our imposter syndrome of like, oh, I'm not qualified or whatever. But like, these conversations that we've had with each other or with a random coworker who have no idea that like changed our life, like actually did. And so, I guess just like encouragement to people or motivation or whatever the case may be of like, you don't have to be an Olympic athlete to have something to say or to have something of value. Yeah. So, super excited there.
Yeah, and we'll have other people on too. Like that is one of the segments that we were gonna have was my friends have cool stories. Yeah. You remember that?
Yeah, and I actually still have to talk because we'll talk about the guy that inspired that.
Yeah. And we'll have people on that we have been inspired by or that we meet, and because I think it'd be really neat because this podcast is going to keep going whether you subscribe or not.
Yes.
We're going to keep yapping. So you'll see our lives unfold too. Like I know I have a really big year planned. You have an incredible year planned. Yeah. So you'll get to kind of live life and help and navigate the in-between seasons with us as well. So
yeah.
Okay, now do you want to talk about me? Yeah. Or do you want to talk about you?
Let's do you first. Your favorite subject.
Okay, great.
So obviously I kind of know your story and what you're doing now as a business owner.
I don't think you do. I don't think you know.
I think I know a little bit more than you do. But yeah, like owning a business, changing women's lives through fitness. But it didn't start that way. I think back to 2013, Caitlin, when we met, completely different life. So kind of just bring us back, maybe not, to birth, but give us a little bit of background.
1991, Houston, Texas.
Give us a background, like kind of what brought you to where you're at now, things that maybe shaped your life, and I guess how you ended up as a business owner living in Fort Worth, Texas, running Beefy Babes.
I was literally on my Instagram yesterday, that post that I made, right? Like, I'm 34. Okay, I'm starting to say I'm 34 because I turned 34 in a month.
So it's a huge deal,
I'm
guys.
33. 10 years ago, I was 23 years old. And if you were my 23-year-old self, she would just be in total shock and she'd be like, no, you're lying. Like, that's not.
There ain't no way.
There's no way.
Finance Kate.
Yeah, went to A&M.
Whoop.
Yeah, whoop. You wear your ring all the time. I do know where mine is. I just don't wear it. My dad would probably be like,
She's
you don't know where it is. I spent how much money on that education?
Yeah, right.
And you don't know where your ring is? I went to A&M and I loved my college experience. I loved it so much. But I was a student athlete in high school, right? Like that I lived and breathed basketball and cross country, pole vaulting, like super small town. So you just kind of played everything. When I went to college, I started gaining, like I kept eating the same way that I did in high school, like a sleeve of Oreos. I'm good. Like it's not going to touch me. Naturally thin person. Like I didn't develop until I was like 18 years old. Like I was like this little, and so I thought nothing could touch me and go out and eat. And that's when I started drinking, was in college at 18. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've gained the freshman 10, right? Like I've gained weight. I need to figure out how to do this without a coach, without someone telling me like what to do. I need to figure it out on my own. I hired a personal trainer. Yeah, I was thinking about that. With what money?
Yeah, right.
Did I hire Brent? Like with what?
Joshua Works on a credit card. My Discover credit card, $3,000 limit. All of it. Personal training.
Same. I'm pretty sure I used like scholarship money because I had some scholarships from being super smart.
Yeah.
But not smart enough because I spent like $3,000 or $2,000 or whatever.
Don't get me started.
Yeah. So I hired Brent, and like honestly though, looking back, that was a God thing. Dane was like the very first person I met. Yeah. Anyway, shout out Dane.
Love that guy.
And I was hooked. Like I loved working with a trainer. Like I loved it. And then I was doing high intensity interval stuff, but I was still like figuring it out. And I would go to like Subway after the workout and get a 6-inch with a sweet tea and chips and get a cookie, thinking I was still being healthy. I just didn't know, like I didn't really quite understand yet, like what nutrition was, what fitness I needed to really be doing. And I was just soaking in from everything from Brent because he was so smart and such a great mentor. And then I graduated college and I got better with my nutrition and better understanding. And I remember Brent was being like, you should be a personal trainer. Like you'd be so good like at it. And I was like, no, I went to A&M with an agricultural economics degree, business minor. I'm going to go into banking. I'm going to go into something about finance. And I got a job right out of college with being a loan officer. Hated it. 8 months. I was in it's called Guns Point, Texas. It's Greens Point, but it's like the really shady side of Houston.
Yep.
And I did not like it at all. And I was probably the most anxious I'd ever been at that time in my life too, for a lot of other different reasons. But I developed basically an eating disorder. I was like 125 pounds, but I wanted to be less. Like it just wasn't enough. And I was constantly anxious on different types of medication and completely unhappy. And like, you could not convince me to eat outside of my diet. Like it was so strict. And I had a trainer and I loved him. He's a great mentor. It was not his doing. I was obsessed. And it was never enough. And there was some validation. I think we've all experienced that as women, like at some point having some sort of toxic relationship with fitness or your eating or society standards of how you should look or how you should feel, your worth. And I was a Christian, and I still am, obviously. But I was going to church. I was doing all the things, and I was really, close with him. But I was just serving something that wasn't him.
Doing something you thought was what you were supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And
you're not supposed to graduate and go into fitness.
I was just living a life that I thought that my parents had wanted for me, which is a whole other therapy session.
Yeah, right.
Love my parents. Shout out Kevin and Dawn. But I left College Station to go do that and pursue that, and ended up coming back to College Station. I worked as a year as a CFO for a small audio video company, and I liked it, but it was still just not fulfilling.
Yeah.
And I took a month off and just studied for the CPT exam, and Brent was like, I'll teach you everything you need to know. You don't have to go to school for this. Just come work for me. So I worked for Gold's Gym for 3 years.
Shout out
Gold's Gym, College Station. That's where we met. And I loved it. Like I was like felt so in my purpose becoming a trainer at Gold's. And at that time, there was a lot of extremely intelligent people on staff. Like you had Joshua Works, you had Brent, you had like Noel, like you had people that had just like been in this game for so long, went to school for it. So like I just soaked up everything around me. And it was so fun. Like those are some of the best people. And obviously you and like Tori, like we still talk to like a lot of those people, and they're still our
half my bridal party
closest friends. Like really, yeah. So I worked there for 3 years, and I went through a divorce, and I needed to leave. Like I needed to get out of the situation that I was in. So I moved to Newcastle, and I worked for a buddy called Dale Brisby, which is a whole other side of my life. I've lived like 11 lives, I think. And I loved it, which was supposed to be 6 months, and it turned into 3 years.
You don't know Rodeo Caitlin.
Yeah, y'all don't know Rodeo Caitlin. Rodeo Caitlin's great. I love her. But I moved out there, and I was like, well, I don't want to stop coaching. Like, I'll go work for you. I was going to do some other things to help him grow his business. But like, I was like, I don't want to stop coaching. So I was like, well, I'll just start this little side hustle. Like, kind of started training people remotely, even still working for Gold's, which you weren't supposed to do. But I was like, I need to kind of dabble and just see if it's like, if I could do it, if I, you know, like I had like 2 clients or whatever. It wasn't anything big. And I moved out there to work for Dale, and I was like, okay, I can actually really do this. Like a year into it, like I was training rodeo wives. Like I was training a couple of rodeo athletes. Like I started working with a buddy of mine, and that was great, and really kind of helped me figure out how to remote coach. And then COVID happened, and I was like, holy crap, I can do this on my own. Yeah. Like I don't really need to have any other job. Like this could be my job. Like it's wild to think about, you know. And now I went out on my own 3 years ago, and
that was the craziest time too, because I remember when you did that. Yeah. I hadn't ever been like around people that just like started their own business. Like I know it's common, like a lot of, but that's not how I grew up. Like
right, no,
you worked for somebody, you had a 20-year career. Yeah, exactly. And so I remember our first conversation. I'm pretty sure it was like over Instagram, because I was probably in Japan or somewhere. Yeah, you know, thinking like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? What happens if it... I just had so much, like, fear for you, but, like, it was so cool. Because I was just, like, I just never saw it.
When I moved to Dale, to work for Dale, I remember talking to my dad and just looking at him, because I was taking a pretty decent pay cut to go out there, because as a trainer, you get to make your own hours. And that was the one thing about in-person training, is you're up at 5 a.m. Training and working and
when you're not making money if you're not working.
Yeah. And that's so, like, I was hustling towards like year 2, year 3, and you're at the first year you're taking everybody too. Like I had a 70-year-old female, I had a 12-year-old girl who was trying to like make, you know, junior high track, like anyway, like you're just taking everybody. And so I was just hustling. And so when I moved out there, I just remember looking at my dad, because he was like, how are you gonna make a living? And I was like, I'll figure it out. Like I've always had the mentality of like, I don't know, I'll figure it out. Like I don't know, but this feels right. Because I remember walking on the treadmill, warming up, like so uncertain what to do, because I knew I needed to leave College Station, and I was warming up, and I had kind of gotten offers to go work at a Gold's in Austin, go work. Joshua Works was like, hey, why don't you come up to Nashville and work for Iron Trap? Like, there's different things that were coming up for me, but nothing felt right. Yeah. Like, nothing felt like so, like, I prayed to have discernment over what I was going to do. And I was walking on the treadmill, and never told anybody this, so you guys are welcome. I distinctly remember hearing a voice saying, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. Yeah. And I just remember, real. Like, it's like that thing, like, you just stop walking on the treadmill, and you're just, like, scrolling off. Like, you're just like, I know that, like,
it's excitement, but it's also like massive fear of like, what am I about to be held responsible for?
What do you mean? Yes, what do you mean I'm not going to understand? Yeah. Like, what do you mean? But yeah, it was in that moment that I was just like, okay. And so when Dale offered me a job, I was like, no, yeah, this is what I have to do. Like, this is exactly what I have to do. And it's not like a move that you would think I should make, you know? So I remember looking at my dad saying, I don't know, but I'll make it work. And that's literally how I felt when I was deciding to kind of close the door, like the door on my life and chapter with Dale was like,
and stability and all of that.
Yeah, I'm closing doors on that. But I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll make it work. Like, and shout out my parents and PBS for always, saying always that support. I can do anything I set my mind to.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, PBS. So, yeah.
So, a question on that though, because I feel like we live in a time where like there's no better time, place, opportunities than to like start the business you want or do the thing you want. Like there's so many opportunities to do that, but people don't, right? So what do you think, what was different for you that like allowed you to like step into that versus like, okay, I have this really good idea, but like this job is safe and I can do this part-time and kind of, get the best of both worlds, stability and have my own business. But like, no, you went all in on yourself. And I think that's like what people are most afraid of. And so what do you think was different for you? Like what, I don't know, caused that?
It's pressure.
Yeah.
Like it's pressure because if I will never rise to the level of my calling if I'm always just like playing it safe. If I'm always just going, yeah, no, God, I hear you to be obedient in that. But like, I'm still going to kind of keep doing this though. Like, what's the saying? Man, there's like a saying that goes like, it's still being disobedient. Like you.
Oh yeah,
you know what
I'm
saying?
Like when you half obey or whatever.
Yeah, even like when you're half obeying, like you're still being disobedient. And I just really kind of felt that God was calling me to go do that on my own.
Yeah.
Because there's also the saying like your calling is gonna keep calling until you answer. Like if I'm praying for God to provide a way for me to like really live out my life that he's blessed me with, like, then I need to really go full in. And so if you take the massive leap, like I have no other option than to make it work. So like it's that pressure that I needed to feel like if I don't, I have a dog, like I don't have kids or anything, but like if we're going to be on the streets if I don't have clients, Emma would be like, this is fine. I don't care.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I also have a dream. Like you think about like purpose, and I genuinely was just looking at women who were dealing with things that I had dealt with before, right? Like that were so self-conscious in who they were in their bodies, and not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. Like they were struggling to, recognize who they were and what their worth was. And I think that I wanted to make a difference for them, even if it was 1 or 5 or now 30 to 40 girls and men. Like I love working with men too, because like they're just, everyone's so different. But I really feel more purpose and just strengthening the confidence of women.
Yeah, that's really cool, because I think, like I was saying, that it's so easy to like make the excuses of, I'm called to do this, and like kind of justify your hesitation and things. And that's something like I've always thought was really cool in you, of like, you don't let the hesitation. It's like, no, this is what I'm called to do. I kind of have to figure out how I'm going to do it. And, we have lots of conversations on that, because I'm like the biggest hesitator of like, I need to close every other, like if I feel called to do something, even this, it's like every other door has to literally be closed in my face before I fully believe like, hey, this is what I'm called to do. But everybody struggles with it, right? But like you do so well at kind of silencing those fears and just being like, yeah, I'm afraid, but I'm just gonna do it anyway.
Oh, I love being afraid. Like I love it. I'm like, oh, that means it's gonna be good. Like I remember sitting in Dale's office, and it was just like a moment. Like I'm not really living life. Like I'm living life. Like don't get me wrong, I'm having a great time here. I've taken leaps, and I've taken, chances, but like everything up until my life has been so regimented. Like go to school, go to college, have a job, like all of these things, and
do everything you're supposed
to do. And I was like, I want to learn how to snowboard. I want to learn to surf. I want to climb a mountain. I want to run a marathon. I don't want to run a marathon again. But never. Like never. I say that. Give me 5 years to forget the pain and then I'll do it again. But like I was just like, I'm never going to be able to do these things unless I
do it.
Yeah. Like, just go do it. Like, find an opportunity to do that. And I remember the first part was snowboarding, which is not relevant to really any of this conversation, but it was like a pivotal moment of me just being like, no, I'm just going to make it happen. I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out. And I went on a snowboarding trip with my best friend since diapers, and Crystal and her brother's a snowboarding instructor. And that's like my second family. We all went out there and he taught us how, and it was great. Like, I loved it and enjoyed it and was like, man, that's the other thing too, is what people don't realize. When you start moving in faith and you start like doing the things that you want to do, you're building confidence and trust in yourself to do other good, like other bigger things. And so like in that aspect, I was like, well, if I can do that, I can do this. If I can do that, I can do this. If I can start my own business, I can run a podcast. If I can do that, like there's just nothing anymore that scares me, because it's like, okay, if I fail, it's feedback, not failure. What did we say earlier, Josh? What did we say? It was what did he say?
We're going to talk about the different kind of F words.
Yeah. Yeah. And so anyway, that was like the big thing for me. It was like, the more that I do things, I'm building trust and confidence in myself to do bigger things. And not only that, but God is also building that like confidence in me, right? Yep. Like, I'm building more of a faith in him, because I can look backwards and see where all these places that he showed up. Always got to look back at, like, so anytime I'm afraid, or like anytime when I'm moving in anxiety, I try to really reframe it as like, I'm not like, you knew me when I was anxious, capital A, anxious, like constantly anxious. Everything. And we'll go into like the past year of my life at some point, but like, I just was like, I'm not going to move from a place of anxiety anymore over my life. Like, I'm going to move out of anticipation. Yeah. Like, I'm going to anticipate and be so excited for what God has, rather than just being really anxious about like, well, what if, and then like yesterday I didn't, and this didn't. And I was just so anxious about my future and like my business. I've totally like moved out of places of hesitation before, but it was more of anxiety. Like, I was doing it, but I was doing it like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like,
well, and what's cool too is like the whole building confidence with yourself and building trust with yourself. And I think it's a huge reason why both of us love fitness so much, is that like, we're passionate about fitness. Like, do we like doing marathons and competitions and like bodybuilding and all these things? Like, yes, we have a problem. Okay. We like doing those things, but like, why I think you learn so much from the trust you build with yourself doing fitness. And it's something like we talked about so much over the last year and a half or whatever of both of us kind of doing bodybuilding style training, of just like how the habits that you build and the trust that you build with yourself when you execute the protocols that you have, when you say you're going to get your steps in and you go do it, when you are not in the mood to do your workout and you do it anyway, when you really want to crumble and like you say no anyway.
Like, shout out both of us getting our steps in at like 10 p.m. You're
exactly.
I have 500 steps left before I hit
like
10K.
Walking around my kitchen.
Yeah, I have to do this.
And it's like, it's not that it's the only way to be successful. It just teaches you so much about the building trust in yourself, and it gives you so much confidence to then go move in your business, in your faith, in all these different things, because if you can follow a diet or follow a really hard training protocol or follow all of these things, that's exactly what you're doing. You're building trust with yourself and like showing yourself you can do these hard things, and then going to do them in business or in friendships or in whatever. It just makes it so much easier. And so like, I think that's also a thing we share when it comes to like our passion for fitness, and like why a lot of this is derived through fitness, and why the conversations come when we're in the middle of a set and all of that stuff, is because it's just an avenue that we've built trust with ourselves and confidence with ourselves and habits and all of that kind of stuff. And it's, for both of us, bled into every other part of our life, which is like super cool.
I tell my clients that all the time. Like, you start building trust and confidence in yourself through just getting 10K steps. Like, that discipline will bleed into other parts of your life, where you'll look up and you're like, you have a job promotion. You have a way better relationship with your husband. You have a way better relationship with your mom, who you've been estranged from. You just like don't know these levels of like tiny disciplines that you're building trust, like they just bleed in and become so much bigger and greater in your life. So yeah.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome. Okay, one kind of last question that I had on all of that is, if you were to go back, either, you know, finance Caitlin, or even
Rodeo
Dale
Caitlin.
Brisby. Yeah, rodeo Caitlin. Just pre-business, you
Yeah.
owning Beefy Babes and C7 training and all
Yeah.
of that. What do you think the biggest piece of advice, like, you wish you could kind of shake those Caitlins and be like, I wish you understood this? Like, what would that be?
Be for real. Like,
Be so for real.
Be so for real. Because I look back and there were just so many times when I remember I've had 2 really great executive coaches throughout my 3 years of being in business for myself, which feels like forever, to be honest.
It really does.
But like, it's still a baby.
It's a baby. That's why I love when you're like, I'm like, it's
literally you have to check me
years.
Often, like, why am I not a multi-millionaire now? It's been 3 years. So shut up.
Be for real.
Yeah, be so for real. Yeah, I look back and I had Paige Champion, like, be my first executive coach, and she's amazing. Like, 1000% is probably, I would not be here without her, because she really pushed me to like start my first, before Beefy Babes was even a thing, I did this 6-week challenge or 2. It was called Fringe Fitness, and it was like a 6-week challenge lead up to the NFR, which is the National Finals Rodeo. And it was like for girls that wanted to like be snatched and be cute and like be hella in shape before the NFR, right? So they could look all cute, and like, loved it. It was a great idea. And it worked, and it was fantastic. But like, without those little nuggets, like, I would not be here, because she helped really shape like what this was supposed to be for me. But I remember she said I'd moved to Fort Worth and I was on my own now, and like, we were doing some coaching, and she was like, Caitlin, I need you to have the confidence of a 40-year-old white man. And I was like,
I love that.
I was like, she goes, those guys don't hesitate. Those guys think that they can do anything. They think that, like, what, I need you to show up in that same way. And I was like, man, bet. Like, I was like, okay, I can do that. But it took me, that's what I mean, is like, be for real about the things that you're saying and you're doing. You know, recently, like, I just saw this quote that was like, if someone followed you around for a week, would they be convinced that you're serious about your goals?
I saw that one hit
hard, right? Like, and I was like, back then, no, you would not have thought I was serious. I still made things happen. I still did them, but like, I was still kind of lazy in it. And I won't even say lazy. I just think I was like
the fear of, if I go all in and fail.
Yeah, I was of going all in and really like, and then now the executive coaching business that I'm in now, like, it's great. Like, Nick and Kelly have both been like so supportive of this authority figure in my role. Like, yes, I'm a coach, but it really wasn't until you and I really started kind of to come back together in our friendship a couple of years ago, and then that I'm a leader too. So it's like, kind of just take, not accountability, but like take
yourself seriously.
Take yourself seriously. Yeah, be so for real about what you're doing. And so like, I think just like, if I could go back, I would shake Caitlin and be like, dude, be for real about what you're trying to do. Like, this isn't like, just go all in and really like, yeah, just lean in.
Yeah.
Be so for real. Anyway, is it my turn? Is it my turn?
Yes.
To talk about you?
Oh, do you want my notes?
Yeah, I want the notes. Because I want
to... My chicken scratch made up notes?
Yeah. Okay. So Abigail's like one of my favorite people in the whole entire world. Because she...
Stop. No, keep going.
Stop. Because she is, a badass. But also really funny and really cute and really pretty and smart. But like, I just laugh because like, you are the like epitome of get you a girl that can do both, because like, you're so like well put together. You like the clean girl aesthetic. Like, you love like having your nails, all these things. And then you're like a Marine, like shooting cannons and stuff. And like, like, I was going to say putting us in. But just like, get you a girl that can do both. So I wanted to just kind of talk about, one, when people ask me what you do or what you did in the military, I was like, man, she was like the 8th female to shoot a cannon.
She was the American sniper.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, this could take forever, but tell us a little bit about why you started in the military, because I was there when she signed the very first day. I took
humble brag.
Humble brag. I was there. I wasn't the day the day you left because my truck, I couldn't get in my truck.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so tell us like why you joined the military. I met you at 18, and that was something that you were trying to do.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah. So
yeah, so it's like you said, it's kind of a long story, but I'll summarize
Condense it.
The best I can.
How much time do we have?
yeah, right. I didn't know at all what I wanted to do in college, so I also went to A&M. Shout out. Mm-hmm. And my dad was in the military for 30 years, so obviously that had a huge impact on me. I grew up in what I thought was like a very normal way of growing up. And then when I bring it up, I am slowly learning growing up in Japan is not as normal as it sounds like to me.
No, it isn't.
But I had huge aspirations to run track. That was like my whole...
Your girl was fast.
I was fast back in the day. That was like my whole plan was I was going to go to A&M. I think I literally had aspirations of like, I'm going to be an Olympic athlete and like, I'm going to get paid to run track. Like looking back, I'm like, LOL. Olympic track athletes do not make like what, but that was
Side note, what I love about you is that you're the queen of Delulu.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you're like, I'll be an athlete, and like you will. That's the thing is she will go do it, but like she's just like, yeah, like why wouldn't I? Like
well,
why
couldn't I? And every major decision I've made in my life has always come from like, well, yeah, I'm just gonna do that, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So no plan going into college. I think I started out as like allied health, wanting to do like physical therapy because I had just busted my knee and couldn't run track. And then I took a geology class and like, you'll have to ask my mom, but like called her and was like, I'm going to be a geologist. And like full transparent, I don't know what a geologist
Jocks
is.
for rocks, man.
You know, like no idea. And I don't think one time throughout college, I like really knew what I wanted to do. I think I majored in beer, you know, like
sure. Yeah.
No clue.
Totes.
And it kind of like went like that for years of like I could do this or I could do this or I could do that, like just didn't have any idea. I ended up majoring in Parks and Rec. Let's go. Very beneficial degree. But yeah, I just really had no idea. But when I got to college, I knew without a shadow of a doubt I was not going to be in the military. Absolutely not. There was no way. Not because I didn't love how I grew up, but just that was what was normal to me. And so like I didn't want how I grew up. My dad was gone a lot. Like I didn't have like roots back home, which I was like super jealous of in college, of people who like had this hometown and they had their like group of high school friends. And like I was always coming into, you know, somebody else's group, and I wanted like stability. Like that is what I thought was really cool. Anyway, so I don't remember at what point, if it wasn't 18, I think it was senior year of college. I was kind of like, you know, I don't really know what I'm going to do with a Parks and Rec degree. I love fitness. I love leadership. I think I've kind of always known I was like a natural leader. And I'm super impact driven. And I knew that about myself. Like I needed a job that had impact. I needed a job that would include fitness or like something like that. And I just loved leadership. And so I was like, well, I'll just join the Marine Corps.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what I would think of too.
Yeah. And actually prior to that, I was like, no, I'm going to join the Air Force or something along
Yeah,
those
because
lines.
when I met you and you were 18, you had this tattoo behind your ear.
Yes.
And you were trying to get it removed and going through like laser removal or whatever of it because you were trying to do something.
Yeah. So at the time, like I said, I just was kind of lost in college, was not like vibing, didn't get to run track, all these things. And so I'm like, well, I'll enlist. So I went to the old College Station Mall to talk to all the recruiters. And yeah, I had a big tattoo on my neck. And at the time, like...
It was a skull. It was just like this big.
Yeah.
It was like a flower and like a bird or something, right? Yeah,
a bird.
Okay.
Classic white girl. You know?
Yeah.
And so pretty much everybody told me no. And I was like, okay. The Air Force told me I think I wasn't smart enough or I didn't have a cool enough, degree or whatever. And I think that is like where the motivation started from, because I don't think it was super serious when I first started looking at it. It was just like, oh, I know I could do well at this and it's familiar to me and all of this kind of stuff. And I think being told no was like, wait, like I'm not.
Don't tell Abigail no. She can't do something.
Right. So
immediately going to do that. Yeah. Like do that thing.
I don't even want to do it, but now that you said I can, I will.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started getting my tattoo removed. I also had a bunch of health issues from the past. I had heart surgery and things like that. Right. That kind of just like, basically I was told no, like there's no way, lots of waivers, all of this kind of stuff. And so I was like, well, I'm going to pursue it and kind of if it works, great. If not, great type of thing. And I kind of just like stopped talking about it, but was like, still pursuing it, if that makes sense. Started getting a few sessions, and then I went and talked to the officer recruiter, so different from the enlisted recruiters. This was senior year of high school. Still had sessions to be removed, all of this kind of stuff, but I remember it to this day. I walk into the office, and this is really ironic because we'll get to it because now I just finished doing officer recruiting.
Full circle
but
moment.
We'll circle back to that. My recruiter, feet up on the desk, in camis, jacked tattoos everywhere, fat lip in his mouth, just fat dip, spitting his dip across the room into the trash can. And
it's I'm like, of your future, baby.
I'm like crop top, leggings, nose piercing, ear tattoo, pink nail polish. Like, I want to be a Marine. And you could just tell this guy was like, she is not it.
Yeah.
Invited me to come to the workout the next day, and I maxed out on the PFT or the fitness test or whatever, and
which means you got a good score.
Which means
okay,
I did good.
Okay, good.
I did good. And yeah, then basically he told me like I'm not impressed, and I'm just like,
oh.
Okay. And so it was kind of this drive of like, I'm not impressed. I don't need you. I don't think you could do it type of attitude that like really drove me. And looking back, like it was completely a tactic because I know how recruiting works now.
Right.
100% a tactic.
He read you like a book.
Yeah, he read me. And so, yeah, obviously I ended up getting the tattoo removed. I got cleared medically, and at the time it was actually really cool timing because Combat Arms had just opened up to females. This was 2016.
Can you explain what Combat Arms is though real quick, like what that means?
Yeah, Combat Arms just like I mean really like had the opportunity to go to war. I shot artillery. Combat Arms is like infantry, artillery, tanks,
it's just,
like those
it's for the people. It's not for me.
Yeah, my bad.
Okay. I know what you
Explain it to the people.
Yeah.
So that also happened kind of simultaneous with all of that. And so all of that, like, one, knowing, you know, I like leadership and fitness and want to have an impact, being told, like, you can't do this, you're not good enough, and then seeing an opportunity of, like, you could be the first at something. All of those, it was just like, obviously looking back, like divine intervention at the divine was good. Divine intervention of like, no, this is like for sure what you're gonna do. And it's funny because I just obviously left the military, and so some of my applicants were kind of asking questions of reflective of like looking back of just my career and stuff, and started to notice like a lot of it was defined by failure. So got accepted, went to officer candidate school the first time, broke my foot, got sent home. That's when I moved to Austin. Kind of had no intention of going back. Like,
you started training too.
Yeah, I started working at the gym again, and I got a leadership position, so I got to do the Gold's Fit thing, assistant GM, like things like that. And I don't know, we were in Galveston at the lake house after I got, you remember that? Yeah. So
no, I try not to remember that.
Dark times. And I just kind of, to me in my head, I was using it as like, hey, this is a sign. Like, you tried it. Go back to your normal, comfortable life that you wanted when you joined college type of thing. Kind of feeling sorry for myself. And then just through kind of learning at Gold's Gym, honestly looking at a life that like I just didn't want. Don't get me wrong, training taught me a lot. Being 22, leading a bunch of trainers who had been around for decades, leading an older group of individuals, very successful individuals at the gym at the time. It did teach me a lot. So don't think that I regret that. But I think I just looked around and was like, I don't want to be like these people, and I don't want this life type of thing. And like, I can't choose it just because I'm afraid of failing again, essentially. So went back, 2018 now, went back to OCS, graduated, no issues, went on to the basic school, got designated a job at the time. So I went off to that schoolhouse for the job and failed that. And that was like what I thought was really cool.
Yeah, failure's cool. Yeah.
So I got selected to go infantry and went to that schoolhouse, and I thought it was like very cool, very like, not a lot of people have gotten to do this. Like I had a lot of people like kind of hyping me up of like, let's go. Like,
right.
I don't remember what number it would have been, but maybe like 3 or 4 something females had gone through at the time. And I don't tell this story a lot, but so I was like really, really excited to like, again, get that opportunity of like, oh, you could be one of the, and failed, in full transparency. And I went through a lot of years of like, well, if this would have happened or this was unfair, right, this and that. And at the end of the day, it was just failure, and that's okay. Right. And so same situation, kind of felt sorry for myself, and was like, I remember like telling the guy that I was working for at the time, like, make me an admin Marine. Like, I don't deserve to be here. I'm not good enough. Like all of that kind of stuff. And just honestly, it's just like not taking accountability for the failure, but like just wallowing in it and like, woe is me type of vibe. But obviously that didn't happen, and I got selected for artillery. And so I kind of had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder of like, okay, I cannot fail this. Like I have to be good at this. And like, now whenever people ask me about like advice of, hey, what would you tell, another girl wanting to do this or whatever, is, I always say like the only disadvantage is you don't have the opportunity to be average. You're not afforded the opportunity to be average. And so that's something my dad had told me, and it kind of just stuck with me, and it drove my my motivation at the schoolhouse and like going throughout my career of like, you just have to be good at your job, and like that's all people care about. Like they don't care about anything else.
Did you get any like pushback, or like did you get any pushback on being a female in the military, like as a Marine?
Yeah, no. I think that's like, ironically, that's like the biggest excuse me, the biggest question I get all the time. And I think like because we see like the bumper sticker like news articles of that all the time, like that's like the assumption that people have. And like I feel like I have the background, the platform or whatever to say this, because I was one of the very first, and like my first deployment I was like one of 2 females on it, and like things like that of like I was not treated different. I was treated very fairly. I was like it never came up. It was never like, oh, how is things as a female, whatever. It was just like, you're a Marine, you're good at your job. And that's like what I've continued to see. And I know I might get hate or pushback on that from other people. Like that has been my experience. I think if you're looking to be offended, you will be. I think
facts.
Yeah.
Like facts on
if
that.
You're looking to be a victim, you will be. But like, I just think that is not an accurate representation of how it really is in the military. I just think it's a non-issue. I've never personally seen it as an issue. I don't think it is as big of an issue as people think it might be. Literally, it all comes down to like being good at your job and caring about the people around you, and like nothing else matters. So
when you look back on your career as a Marine, because literally, guys, she just finished last week. Like
literally
Friday.
Saturday, yeah.
Saturday was like your, what, 8 years?
7 years.
Like, anyway, what was, you texted me, and I know that you were having like kind of a spiral, a little bit, just a moment.
Yeah,
it's just, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. I just had a moment of you going, was what I did good enough? Like, I'm sitting in this going, was my time in the military, did I serve well enough? Did I let people down? Could I have done more? Like, and if that's not like just a great picture of you. Like, because I remember being, be so for real. I remember texting you and I was like, I'm going to let you do this for like 10 more minutes and then we're done.
You
like,
get your moment.
Because what?
Yeah.
Like, you always met your goals that y'all had at the end of the month, or, right, like monthly, like, anyway, I try to make up her job. But like, she had to go and pick people out for the military. And so like you crushed your goals all the time. People that I would meet that had served with you, or that were your higher ups, or people that were just like around you, like the people that came to the wedding, you know, like we're just like, oh man, she was great. Like I loved working with her. She made it so fun, but she also was like, dude, you don't mess with her. Like, well, like people spoke just so highly of you. So I know that you left a great impact, but do you feel that now? Because I know after Saturday, like they gave you this really nice plaque and they gave you like all these things, but looking back, like, are you genuinely proud of what you did there?
Yeah, I'm super proud and super grateful for the people I got to serve with, for the opportunities that I've had, for the leadership development, like so eternally grateful, because I think when people ask me about getting out or like hear me talk about it, there's always like a negative connotation associated with it. Like, what happened that made you want to get out, or you know, what, all the negative things. And like, that was not the motivation. Like, the motivation was not, I didn't like this job, or I didn't like whatever. It was just that I feel in this season, God is calling me to different things. And that's it. That's the answer. And so I think just as, honestly, I think I can say like high achievers, like both of us are just, we always strive for more, for better, for this. And so like the negative side of being that type of person is always looking back at like, what could I have done better? How could I have performed better here, treated this person better here, and this and that. It's like really easy to do that instead of looking back and being like, oh, that was really cool that I got to do that. Or like, how cool that I met all of these goals. How cool that I got, you know, to meet this individual, get this award, or do whatever. And so I think just naturally, and it's something that I have to work on, of like looking back, not at like, oh, all of the what ifs of that, and more at the like, wow, like you should be so freaking proud. Like you can close the chapter, because it's not like everybody can say that, closing the chapter on such a high or a win, which luckily I was fortunate enough to do. And so, yeah, I think that's definitely something that I've always had to work on, but I can't help. Yeah.
I can't relate to that.
Yeah,
at all.
Right.
Yeah.
It's always a back and forth conversation. You have a moment, then I have a moment.
Literally.
But yeah, it's just, it's hard to not look back and be like, okay, in this one particular instance, like, what if I had done this, and how would things have changed, and what would the trajectory of my career look like had I done that? And so I think it was more reflective, and I just needed a moment to do that.
Totally.
To then be like so grateful for everything that happened and that I got to experience over the last 7 years. So
how do you feel now, like with your future? Because now that the military it's over, like that chapter of your life that you've held on to for 7 years. This girl, she would also be like, I don't know, maybe I should stay in for like 2 more years or something. Like, what's 2 more years? I'm like, Abigail, get out. Like, you don't want to do this anymore.
Stop.
Like, it just goes back to like what's stable and what we know, and like, okay, maybe I can do a little bit more. I can go a little bit longer. And but like, do you feel like, again, are you led by anxiety of your future? Are you led by like anticipation of what God has for you? Because like, let's tell the people now like what you're doing, like what you're going to do.
It's kind of scary. I haven't really talked like openly about everything. I think between conversations that I've had with you, with my husband Kyle, shout out Kyle, with my coach Megan, like all these different people that just kind of know what I'm going through. I think there was a lot of fear and anxiety of the unknown, because I have never been in a world of like, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Like literally anything. Because in the military, it's like, yeah, there's uncertainty, and like people are like, what do you mean you're scared of uncertainty? It's like, yeah, but every 3 years you're going to move.
You also just knew you were going to be in the military.
Yeah.
Like, you know that's your
and
life.
You show up at the right time in the right uniform, and you're halfway there. Like, you're going to stay in, you have a job, you have money, you have, you know, you're going to move, you know, you're going to deploy. Like, you know all of these things, even though there's uncertainty tied to it. But when you're stepping out of that, like, you can do anything. I could go back to school. I could go work in sales. I could go.
You could run for president.
I could literally anything. And so I think I was like
I'd vote for you.
Paralyzed by decisions and like all of this kind of stuff. And I think this is a good time. Actually, I remember this was early 2023, I think. I could be slightly off on the time. I should have recorded it. But I was sitting in my office kind of doing the contemplation, like knowing after this duty I was going to get out, but not knowing what that was going to look like. And I did, and I was getting very frustrated because I was praying about it a lot of like, I'm not asking for a 10-year plan. Yeah. Just give me the next step. That's all I'm asking for. And I remember I had an epiphany in my office, and I called two people. I called Caitlin and I called my mom. And
shout out Jody.
Shout out.
My girl.
So I remember I called Caitlin and I was like, hey, I'm so excited because I never felt like I had a more clear vision of what I'm supposed to do. And I remember explaining like, I have this whole vision of bridging the fitness and the healthcare community and in some capacity. And I don't know what that looks like. And I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know if it's going to be like from the political side, as a personal trainer, as a doctor, as I don't know how it's going to happen, but I just feel like I'm called to do that. Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah. I remember I was on the way. I remember what I was doing. I was driving to the gym. So yeah.
And so I told my mom and I told Caitlin that. And I think in that moment, I knew that that's what I had to do, but again, just didn't know what the next step was. And so we spent a lot of time talking about that. And then over the last, 2-ish years of that happening, let me tell you, I explored every opportunity outside of that, which is so funny.
Yep.
Like, I go to career fairs, so I'm getting job opportunities and job offers, and I looked at consulting, and I looked at sales, and I looked at all of these different things, and
that didn't align with that at all.
None.
Like,
none. And
talk about avoidance.
Yeah. Everybody just kind of let me do it.
Yeah.
And I remember I'm talking to my other friend Caroline about just my frustrations with not knowing what to do next. And she was just saying sometimes like an act of obedience or an act of like moving then like leads you in, it opens doors, and like it's just one step at a time of like action rather than just sitting and like somebody tell me what to do.
Right.
And then she also said something, and I'm going to misquote it, but it was like stuck with me of like sometimes like the thing you're most afraid of doing or the thing you're most avoiding is what you're supposed to be doing.
Facts.
Something along those lines.
Facts.
And it kind of just hit me of, I'm like, why am I avoiding this? Like, I already know, like this came to me in 2023.
Right.
I didn't know how or what or where or what, but like I knew that that's what I was supposed to do anyway. So, all of that and all of the uncertainty and all it just came from fear of not being in this position, never growing up around like this kind of opportunity and like just stuff like that. And yeah, so I don't know, I'm kind of like looking at the future of like super excited now. Like instead of I'm so scared of what can I do, how can I fail, but this is so exciting. I can literally do anything I want to do. And so, yeah, I decided I want to be a doctor.
Yeah. She's going to go back to school.
Go back to school. And it's super scary. And like my least favorite question in the last 3 years since I said I'm getting out has always been like, okay, so what's next? Like everybody loves that question.
Sure.
And I always avoided of like, isn't that a great question? Like things like that. Yeah. And I knew, like, I knew this is what I was going to do and what I was called to do. But there's so much fear in saying it, even like on this forum or this platform of like, no, I'm going to be a doctor because, I got accepted into this program. I still have to take an MCAT. What if I fail that?
Yeah.
Like how embarrassing to have to come on here and be like, oh, I failed. But it's like, it's
not.
But
also it's not like you've talked about this whole time being like defined by failure, but it's not. Like failure's feedback. Anyway, make 3 mistakes and call it research.
Oh my God.
Anyway, I just said that earlier and she was like, okay, Gandhi. Please. But like your whole story was just like failure after failure, but like being resilient despite the failure. So I have no doubt in my mind of you doing this. And even if you say maybe you fail the MCAT, you won't, but like you will also just do it again and be like, okay, so what are the answers that I missed? I'm going to go back and like, you'll keep doing it because like I know you and you don't stop until the work is done.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think that your worth is not necessarily in the work. Like I think that maybe we have struggled with that in the past. Like another one of our things that kind of like blends us so well together is like letting our work define us.
Yeah.
And that being like what our worth is decided on, but it's not at the end of the day. Like so yeah, I'm just super mega proud of you, man.
Thanks.
Just super mega proud of you.
Now you guys get to hear all the struggles of being a student at 30 years old.
Okay, you're not 30. When are you turning 30?
This year.
No way. I thought you were 28. You're 29?
Yeah.
You old. Just kidding. I'm way older. I think we want to talk about next is how we met. Like we'll keep it really, really brief.
Yeah,
but,
brief. We've been yapping.
Yeah, we've been yapping.
Now you guys get where our rest sets are 25 minutes
Yeah,
long.
there could be an hour long. I really just want to say, like, when we met, you were 18. And this was 10 years ago, so I was 23. I remember you coming to a Goldsmith class. I don't think I was teaching yet. Like I think
you had just decided to quit your job, but you hadn't started training yet.
Right. Yeah. And I remember meeting you, and I was like, she's athletic. She's cute. I like her. She looks like a badass. Like I was like, I think we're going to be friends. And I mean, genuinely, like, and I was married at the time. And so you became friends with us. And I mean like friends, like best friends. At the house, like all the time, just like in and out of all these different seasons of me and my life post-divorce. Like, and then you went off to, do your little military thing the first time. The little thing. And we stayed in contact. Like we didn't, like, I was also moving to Newcastle. Like I was, again, living one of my 11 lives, as was she, and then you went through that and then went off to go North Carolina, and then deploy and all that, and we kept in contact a little bit. I mean, like there were some big things that happened in your life that we still connected over, whether we hadn't talked in like 6 months, and we still connected over. But it wasn't until you said 2022 or 23.
It's 2022 when I moved back here.
Yeah, and I was going through another like season of just like a lot, just like full on defeat and major like depressive episode. I'd like again was super skinny, like I lost a lot of weight, like lost a lot of myself, was still trying to figure things out. You had come back and were like, wow, I'm gonna be a recruiter here, but like what is this gonna look like for me? I'm not deploying anymore, and I'm not going, like, this is what I'm gonna be doing for the next 3 years. You were a recruiter for 3 years, so it's like we both kind of came around again at these like really pivotal moments of our lives, like again in between seasons of, okay, well, I don't know what's next. And both of us were like, we genuinely just needed each other. Yeah. And it was like such a God moment to bring us back together, where you lived in Granbury and it was like an hour drive for me. And it was on the lake, beautiful house. The lake house was great. And I would stay the night there like all the time. And we would just like catch up over the last like 5 years that we missed of each other's lives. And, from like boys but like, I don't want to talk about men.
But save that for another time.
Yeah. But just like we would just kind of catch up and like what we wanted out of our lives. And that's kind of where the idea of the podcast came, was just like, man, we have such an incredible journey. And like, we want to kind of be used as a vessel for God to like talk about these things. So we're going to play like a little bit of quick trivia. And then I think it'd be really great to kind of wrap up. Yeah. And, yeah, I
can't say everything on episode 1.
No, we can't say. We could. Literally, we could. Okay, what is I'm going to ask Abigail questions about me, and then I'm going to ask them, she's going to ask them about herself. Like, we'll go back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. Like I'm answering for you, about you.
What's my, if I had to break my diet for something, what am I breaking my diet for?
Crumble cookie.
Yes.
Or Hop Dottie.
Ooh, Hop Dottie. Or a hot dog. Okay. Anyway. What is my favorite way to unwind? If I am unwinding.
Yeah, that's a rare occasion. I would say one would be riding your motorcycle with your dad.
Yes.
That's a very good one.
Oh, man. That's, yeah. Top 2.
I would say 2, just like being outside in nature, walking with Emma. like unplugged, that type of thing.
The motorcycle is probably because I can't hear anybody. I can't look at my phone. I can't like, or go to the movies by myself. Like,
oh yeah, that is, yeah.
I used to do that a lot. I don't do it as much anymore, but I used to just be like, it's the only way I can get away from like work or any checking my phone or doing anything. Mm-hmm. What's my Starbucks order?
Cafe latte?
No.
Almond milk?
No.
Americano?
No.
Sugar-free vanilla latte?
You're getting there. Vanilla sweet cream cold brew.
Oh crap! Okay,
you know
yeah.
Okay.
I knew that.
What is like the best compliment someone can give me?
Best compliment. I think it goes in phases. I will say that.
That's fair. Okay.
But I think like if somebody asks like, "Hey, are you a bodybuilder?" or like, "Hey, what like are you some sort of professional type of athlete?" Like that's definitely like.
This one time, Adonis and I were on the track because I was like taking pictures of him for Compete Every Day, and I was in prep. Like I was in prep. Like, so I was really lean, really like you could see all my muscles. And this older gentleman was walking around the track. Man pissed me off. Bless him. But like,
oh, I remember this. Yeah,
he was like talking about the Olympics were on, and so he was like, "Yeah, have you seen like we were talking about something like Alona and like big fan of Alona Mar and like." He said something about like, well, she, you know, she's just too big or something. And then like he said something about Katie Ledecky. And he was like, well, she kind of looks like a man. And I was like, and Adonis had to do everything to just be like, Caitlin, why not? Because like when you're on prep brain too, you're just like, I have no filter anymore. I have nothing. Like, and he was like, yeah, but they look like females. They're athletic. They look great. And then he goes, yeah, no, they're really great. They're, you know, super fit, like totally. He's like, and he looks at me and goes, you look like you could be an Olympic athlete. And I was like,
is this
I don't know how to take this. I was like, I'm jacked and lean and I look really good.
Yeah.
Do I also look like a man? I was like, wait. And Adonis was like, yeah, she does. Anyway, nice seeing you, sir. Like, cool, you know, and I was just like, Adonis was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, I'm way too tired to even like really comprehend what just happened, the conversation that took place. Anyway, but yes, that would be like the best compliment is
or your shoes.
Or my shoes.
Yeah.
I don't take very good care of these. Last one, what is my biggest pet peeve?
Not getting to do your prescribed workout in the order in which it's prescribed. Like you're supposed to do hip thrusts followed by squats and somebody's on the squat machine, like you'll stand there and wait because you're going to do it in order.
Yes. I'm like, that's
and it drives me crazy.
How I'm supposed to do it. Like, no, you could do something before that. You can go back. No. Like, nope. I will wait, and I will be like, hey, are you almost done?
Yep.
Oh, I have like one set. I'm like, okay, bet.
She'll sit there.
I'm just going to sit there and watch you do your last set, and I'm one of those people. Like, I'm like, no. Like, literally, my most perfect day in the gym would be like, I get to do everything in order
without
waiting, and then go home. Like, that's, literally. Anyway, okay. You get to...
Am I doing the same ones?
Sure. Or you can do other ones. I don't care. Okay. I know you like the back of my hand.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. All right, what's my Starbucks order then?
A chai latte with a shot of espresso.
Yes. I will say I do go through phases. That is probably my number one.
Yeah.
But I have been on a brown sugar, cinnamon, oat milk, whatever that thing is.
Those things are good.
Yeah, those things are good.
Yeah.
Okay, how do I unwind?
You unwind by watching trash TV.
That's a good one.
Watching like Love Island or something, and like, but also like pampering yourself. Like you enjoy to like kind of be pampered. So like you'll have your eye masks on, you'll have a mask on, you'll be doing your eyelashes.
Let me tell you, you need help with self-care. Your girl got you.
Yeah. It's like, and then you're watching your trash TV and also probably making Kyle watch it with you. And
100%. Yeah, and he gets invested too.
Yes, and he's invested. I remember one time we made him watch The Summer I Turned Pretty, and he was like, "This is dumb. What's going on?"
So anyway,
yeah, like what's happening
every time. Okay, what's my girl to go? What? My go-to girl dinner.
This one was hard. I think breakfast for dinner is your go-to. Like eggs, like a little scramble, and then English muffin or
a little waffle action.
Little
if
waffles.
I'm feeling frisky.
Yes.
Yeah, I love breakfast at all times a day.
Literally, same.
It would be I think a breakfast Sammy would be my last meal before I died.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Okay. I'll do two more. What's my biggest pet peeve?
Man, you got a laundry list of pet peeves.
I think the what is not would probably be short.
Yeah.
That's a personal problem. It's a character flaw of mine. I won't lie. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Abigail's toxic trait is she gets very easily annoyed by everything. But it's the small inconveniences. It's not like the big thing. Something huge could happen in your life.
Like monumental in my life, cool, calm, collected.
Cool, calm, collected. The toaster won't toast her English muffin.
End of the world.
End of the world. The day is over. It's gonna it's. I guess that's, I don't know. That's kind of your pet peeve, is just like when little inconvenient things happen. Yeah. Like, yeah, you just don't like to be inconvenienced.
Yeah, 100%. That's funny. Okay, and then what's the best compliment I could receive?
The best compliment you could receive, someone says that you're driven, or someone says that you're hardworking.
Yeah, that is probably it.
Like you.
I will say though, you gave me a good compliment when I sent you my check-in photos one time.
Oh yeah.
That said my rib cage was looking better.
Oh my god.
And it sticks with me still. Because if you know, you know.
Flared rib cage is going to be the death of her, I swear, or the death of me, because I have to listen to it because I don't see it, but it's there.
It's there.
It's there. What was like a TikTok trend was like, the devil tried to reach me, but he couldn't because I live with flared ribs. And something else. It was just this girl in the gym. I sent it to Abigail. I was like, this is you.
I will solve every world problem with fixing flared ribs.
Yes. Anyway. Well, great first episode. Guys, we are going to really be diving into a lot more topics together. Advice, fitness, mindset, leadership. We just wanted to give you a little bit of glimpse of who we were, and why the heck we're talking about any of this.
Don't worry, we won't always be just yapping about ourselves, but I feel like we have to start off on.
But it's our favorite hobby.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. If you did, like, share, subscribe. Is that what people say?
All the things.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Bye.